Time for my week 3 power rankings, and I'm sticking to the top 12. I might have to go to the top 20 to include the Rams this week, sad to say. And they're not even going to be in my green room. They got to show something more. They got to show a lot after the drubbing by the Cardinals. But interesting thing about the top 12, Ram fans aren't the only ones disappointed. 7 of my top 12 teams lost. 5 of them in the NFC. My number 2 team, the 49ers, lost, as did my 3, 4, and 5 teams, the Ravens, Eagles, and Dolphins. Hey, if you think that you felt bad after that Cardinal game, I have a feeling Eagle fans were probably the most disturbed after their team's game last week. That had to be extremely painful. And my 7 and 8 teams, both from the NFC, the Cowboys and Lions lost, as did the Rams. And, I took some heat for dropping the Lions. I think it was from number 6 to number 8 after beating the Rams. And I tried to defend that. And I said, hey, let's see how this next week goes for the Lions at home again against the Bucks. And I think I was somewhat vindicated. And so I'm not sure where they end up on these rankings quite yet, but they did lose to drop to 1-1, and I don't think they're deserving of any place higher than 8 at this point. We'll see where I have them this week. So let's get into it. My week 3 power rankings, and let's see who's going to start it off. Well, we know who the number 1 team is. That's kind of a done deal for at this point in the season. One team that continues to play like a champion. And who am I talking about? Well, you guessed it. It is, of course, the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, how can you not pick the Chiefs? Defending champions, great quarterback, great coach, check all the boxes, good defense. And they found a way to win a late field goal to knock off the Bengals. Bengals, a desperate team, and still, Bengals are 0-2, but I think we have not heard the last of them. And they gave the Chiefs a battle, but Kansas City pulls it out. Interesting game. By the way, next week, this week 3 schedule is phenomenal. And I would say that if the 49ers and Rams were healthy and Tua was healthy, this might be the best Sunday the NFL has offered us in quite some time. And the Chiefs have a good one. They travel to Atlanta and take on a pretty stoked Falcons team led by Raheem Morris, looking for their second straight win. So, yeah, the Chiefs stick at number 1. And, the 49ers lost. I had them at number 2 last week, jumping over the Ravens. And you know what? I still have them at number 2, even though they lost. I think the Vikings demonstrated that the 49ers are not invincible. They are beatable. Of course, the 49ers were without Christian McCaffrey. Now they move on to week 3 with Debo, without Debo. And, they get healthy. This is where they're going to be, probably number 2, number 3 slot, possibly even number 1, unless something crazy happens. So I'm not knocking them down after losing a close game in Minnesota. Minnesota had a great defensive game plan to handle that 49er offense. And Sam Darnold played well against them. And they take on a Rams team that's basically shown up at SoFi on crutches. So they have a good chance of getting back to it, getting back in the win column at 2-1. And my third team taking a jump of 8 spots, the 2-0 Buffalo Bills. And I think a lot of it has to do, from some stats I'm seeing, some grades I'm seeing, is the great play of their offensive line. And I had come out before the season started and said, I just didn't think the Bills are going to be that good. They've lost so many impactful contributors over the last year or two. But look what their offensive line is doing and protecting their quarterback, Josh Allen. Josh Allen playing well. And I suspect they're going to get to 3-0. They take on the Jags at home, just playing really good football. And my fourth team dropping a spot, just 1. And again, it's because so many of these other teams are losing as well. The Baltimore Ravens really surprising loss at home to the Raiders. And now they are rewarded with a trip to Dallas to play a Dallas team that is probably seething and chomping at the bit to get back on the field, as are the Ravens. So, as I said, a great weekend of football. The Ravens traveling to Dallas and the Ravens dropping one spot to number 4. Number 5, another team that lost. The Philadelphia Eagles, they dropped one spot from 4 to 5. It's a game they should have won. I mean, that was just a really weird ending. And, those losses, just think if that had been the Rams in that situation, our team trying to get to 2-0, they're at home, you're already starting to celebrate, and they find a way to lose like that. I wouldn't have gotten any sleep that night at all. Would have woke up with a headache. So, hey, Ram fans, we can at least celebrate that we're not having to deal with those types of losses. Although the Detroit game was kind of close to that. We certainly had opportunities to win, and we probably should have won. But this Eagles loss takes it to a whole new level. And another great game. They get rewarded with a trip to New Orleans to take on the high-flying Saints, who we're going to talk about here in a second. And my number 6 team, this has not changed. The Texans still at number 6. They get to 2-0. It was an impressive performance by their defense, getting to Caleb Williams 7 times. But I was looking for an even more impressive win. But you go on the road and you win a game like that. Salute the Texans. It was a good win for them, but not enough to elevate them over the Eagles or Ravens or the Bills, or stay ahead of the Bills at this point. And who do we got next? My number 7 team, the new entry to one of the 2 new entries to the top 12, actually, the New Orleans Saints. Man, that offense is just pouring it on. Carr playing at the highest level we have ever seen, perhaps. So they're in a good spot too. They got to take on the Eagles here, but that's going to be a really fun game. It might be the game of the week, the most interesting game. Hand it to the Saints. I didn't see this coming. I thought they were going to be a little bit taking a step back, if anything, and suddenly here they are putting up big numbers in the first 2 weeks of the season. And my number 8 team, moving up 2 spots, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And just playing complimentary football. Baker Mayfield, should we have kept him? Maybe he's our next great quarterback. Maybe the Bucs will flounder a little bit, and Baker Mayfield will come back to the Rams and play out the end of his career and take us to a Super Bowl. Hey, just hypothesizing here. I don't know how you Ram fans would feel about that, but Baker Mayfield, I love what he's doing. Love to see him succeeding. So good for him. And they have a good chance of getting to 3-0. They host the Denver Broncos. And my number 9 team dropping 2 spots, the Dallas Cowboys. I haven't watched any of that game, full disclosure, but from what I have read about it, it was an abysmal failure on both sides of the ball for the Cowboys. So excited after that opening game win, the dominance over the Browns, and then this. What happened? I don't know. And again, another great game. Cowboys taking on the Ravens at home. Unfortunately, some of these games, at least 2 of these games I've talked about at the same time as the Rams 49ers game. Great afternoon of football. And just think, if the Rams were healthy, if the Rams were 1-1 and the 49ers were 1-1 and they were both fully healthy, it'd be a really fun game. It'd even be more fun if the Rams were really healthy and the 49ers were in the state they are from a Rams perspective, but just being a little selfish here. And dropping 2 spots from number 8 to number 10 is the Detroit Lions. An uninspired win over the Rams, in my opinion. Yeah, they looked inspired in overtime, but that Rams offense put 17 straight points up on them, and then they lose at home to the Bucs. That's not a good sign. A good football team, it's early. They're going to be relevant, and they're probably a playoff team but I think the 10th spot is where they deserve to be right now. And Jared Goff in that game, by the way, against the Bucks, threw 2 interceptions, and I am told he had 2 other would-be interceptions that were dropped. So not a good day for our old friend Jared Goff. And my number 11 team, my other new entry, the Chargers. I don't know if they should be too excited with these 2 wins they've had so far, but they're playing, hardball football. It's not entertaining, but they played very well and got it done. And again, I like to see them beat a good team. They travel to play Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's 2-0. They've scored 1 touchdown on the season, though. This is going to be a very low scoring football game. It could be a battle of field goals. And the Steelers are slightly favored, but that's another interesting game. Probably not going to be real entertaining. And but the Chargers have a good shot to get 3-0. They could beat the Steelers. We'll see what happens there. The Chargers just barely making it into my top 12. Need to see more, really. And my number 12 team, the Green Bay Packers, got to give it to them. Hey, Sean McVay and the Rams coaching staff, the Packers throw Malik Willis out there, and he plays okay, plays pretty well, plays efficient game management style football, shall we say, but helped his team get a win. And, the Packers, give them credit where credit is due. And when Jordan Love comes back, I expect them to start climbing these rankings. And they travel to Tennessee, so they have a good chance of getting to 2-1. They had that loss in Brazil to the Eagles, a game that they could have easily won. And who do I have in my green room? Well, I'm not putting the Rams in the green room. I do not deserve it. I do have the Miami Dolphins there. Let's see what they do at the quarterback situation. Tua's going to be out a little bit, so I'm not sure what to do with them right now. The Steelers are 2-0, but I'm not really impressed with them enough. I think all of my top 12 teams are better than them. That's for sure. Maybe they'll prove otherwise playing the Chargers at home though. And I think the Jets, the Seahawks, Vikings, and Cardinals are worthy of mention here, especially the Cardinals. Man, if they can pull out another win here this week, I'd say, yeah, they probably deserve to be in the top 12, and they'd probably knock the Lions out of the top 12. They're hosting the Lions. That's another fun game. Man, I would love to watch that one. And another game, 2 green room teams are playing, the Dolphins and the Seahawks, so we'll see what happens there. Seahawks, man, I tell you, Lady Luck is in their locker room. It seems like every year that these types of things happen to them. A good team loses their quarterback, and who's up on their schedule? The Seahawks. And the Vikings, pulled off a really big win. I need to see a little bit more, though. Sam Darnold, if he can play consistent, good quarterback play. If we see that from Sam Darnold, we could see the Vikings entry into the top 12. And the Jets, they get rolling. Maybe it took them a little while to get rolling. Their defense we expected the defense to be really, really good, and we haven't seen that yet. We expect Aaron Rodgers. Well, Jets fans are hoping it's the Aaron Rodgers that they hoped to see last year before he got hurt, and need to see a little bit more of him to see if he still has it. But got to be optimistic if you're a Jets fan. I'm probably leaving a couple teams out here, even the Falcons, Browns, the 0-2 Bengals. The Raiders pulled off a nice win, but I'm not a big fan of where they're pointed right now. And hey, I've been wrong a lot lately, so maybe the Raiders and some of these other teams will prove me wrong. But that's what I got. That's my top 12 Week 3 power rankings out here from Rams Up.